And is it the AsteroidMech or AsteroidMech? What are we going with?
Either, whatever works.
Oh man,
Either's fine.
Killing
the puts a position of power and prominence.
It does.
All right.
Yeah.
Greetings and hello there, everyone. It's me, your beloved Star Wars dad, NOOCH Too Good, here once again with NOOCH and the Gerbil and the AsteroidMech. And once again, I've covered Gerbil's face with my little happy X-Wing NOOCH. Like and subscribe, guys. So it's good to see you. Gerbil, what's happening?
Oh man, just getting ready for the holidays. I'm actually flying back home to the States this Saturday. So I am super excited about that.
That's great. And AsteroidMech, how about you, sir?
I am doing pretty good. Got my finals all finished, and this is a great way to start a winter break. So yeah, I'm doing good.
I often wonder if YouTube had been around when I was taking finals, what might have been. Anyway, it's good to meet you, young man. Welcome to the show. So we've got multiple topics to discuss, but I think actually we have like two topics to discuss, and then we'll get to the AsteroidMech's movie rankings. But our main goal today is to look at 2023 year in review, and that's because I'm not going to be here 2 weeks from now. We're on this bi-weekly schedule, and I will be out of town for this next month, so we want to take this chance to look at it. So I'm going to let Gerbil take the reins and run us through that year in review.
Oh man, there was so much that happened this year. I was just skimming through the Capital Games official forums. I was looking over at the SWGOH events page, and it's really an interesting year. And I have to sum up, like, I'm going to ask you all before we talk about this, if you were to summarize 2023 Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes in just a couple of words, let's say 3 words or less, what would it be? And AsteroidMech, you're the new guy on the show, so I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. I would say very game-changing. We have the Lightspeed Bundles. We had 2 new raids. A bunch of characters that are coming out very soon that are going to be changing the game with Bo-Katan, Darth Bane, the guild store changes, all huge changes to the game. The Leviathan, Leia. So I think this is going to be one of those years people look back at as one of the better years of this game, because it's just how much that was added. I went through a whole list of everything that was added in 2023, and almost all of them were good units, good releases. There was a few that were bugged. There was a few that were disappointing, like Trench or whatever. But I think overall, this was a pretty solid year.
Okay, that was more than a few words.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were
Wow.
explaining it.
Oh, my goodness.
No, it's good. It's all good stuff. NOOCH, what do you think? How would you summarize the year?
So for me, I would say it's very similar, but you put me 3 words: transformative for farming. I don't know that there were major transformations in the game as far as gameplay or new character types, although we had new raid types. But, you know, the changes in the guild activity store and the Lightspeed Bundles just changed the way we farm the game completely from head to toe. Captain Rex changed the way the game was farmed. And I just released I put my farming guide out for 2024 a few days ago, and then yesterday I had another video. Phoenix were out for me, like for the last 3 years. I wouldn't have farmed Phoenix first, and now Captain Rex comes out, and I think they're right back at the top of the first team you got to farm.
Yeah, so I was struggling as I scrolled through page after page of what happened this year, and I noticed 3 reoccurring changes or themes, and one of them was exactly what AsteroidMech said, is change or transformation. I like that because there is a lot. I mean, the guild store currency change was huge. It accelerated so many farms that my alt account is able to just zero in on what I want, like a laser. Whereas before, I don't know how many times I'd complete a raid and I go, okay, rewards. Crap, that was another wasted week, right? Second thing I really noticed was known issue. AsteroidMech, you said there were a few bugs. Oh, I would dispute that one. So like I'm scrolling.
A few
through.
is being generous.
Oh yeah, that's being real generous. There was way more than I realized, and we can come back and touch on that maybe. But the other one, something that dawned on me while looking at a list of all the characters that came out this year, is I would think of it as maybe a year of filling in the gaps or dusting off the bench. because I'm going to go through this list here real quick, so just bear with me. But starting in January, can you all recall what the first new character was this year?
Zori Bliss, wasn't it?
Ding, ding, point to NOOCH. So Zori is Resistance, second new character. Oh, Bubbles. Why am I getting those balloons again?
What was that?
So, okay, there's a new feature in the latest Mac OS, reactions. So the camera, and I'm going to turn it off. There we go. Yeah, if you do like a I don't know, peace sign.
If this turns into like an Omegle thing where all of a sudden you're on screen in a clown outfit or something, I'm out. I'm out if that happens. Just FYI.
They added that to phones too. It's on like FaceTime and stuff as well. You can do that too.
Yeah, I don't know how to. Yeah, I've turned it off. I don't know how to do it. Anyway. Okay, so the second character for the year, who was that? It's kind of a trick question, actually.
I don't think I have a list. I wrote down a few things. Is it Trench? No. Is it Ship?
Yes.
Was it TIE Defender?
Sure was. So we went from Resistance to Empire, and then the next two, which I totally forgot they came out this year because they've just been so impactful to my roster. It was Tusken Chieftain and Raider. Or not Raider, Warrior, right?
Yeah.
So we went Resistance, Empire, Tusken. After that, we got Cal and Seer, unaligned. Didn't really fill in a gap there, but then we got Marin, Night Sister, Tarful, Wookiee, Saw, Rebel Fighter, and then Sith Empire ships for Leviathan. Then Phoenix with Rex, Nisa with Ewoks, Scout Trooper, which really lifted Iden a bit, and Imperial Remnant. We only had, 4 before her, right? So we did not have a full Imperial Remnant squad. Then we got the Marauder, Galactic Republic, which tried to lift up the Endurance, and then we jump into Mandalorians. But the point is, we filled in and elevated Night Sisters, Ewoks, Phoenix, Tuskens, Wookiees, Rebel Fighters, and Zori Resistance.
Negotiator
really,
fleet.
It reinvigorated Negotiator. So it really, really was kind of a year of fill in the gaps.
We would call it a year of lifter units.
A year of lifters.
And it's continuing with Darth Bane.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. You guys think he's going to be really impactful?
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be fun. I'm excited.
I don't know. I mean, he doesn't have a big following or anything, you know. He didn't do anything in lore, did he? I mean,
well,
nothing I can think of.
Maybe not. I don't know. I'm excited to see that how banners how they do with the banners in GAC with a 2-man team. I'm excited to see how far they can take that. If it's going to be a trench situation or if they're going to be able to get max banners on some occasions. I don't know. I'm excited.
We're talking about Sith C and Darth Bane. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm horrible, by the way, in case Gerbil knows this, but looking at kits and translating it, I got to play with it to figure out what I couldn't
Me
tell
too.
you.
I got to make infographics.
Yeah, my ADD kicks in when I get to like the third sentence of the first ability, and I'm out, and I'm like, when it releases, let me know, and I'll play with it, and we'll see what happens. So.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
So known issues. That was the other, right?
Mm.
So what were the known issues you all can recall? Because there were a lot.
The Leia event being bugged, the Leviathan not working as intended. Those were the big ones that stuck out to me.
And again.
Yep.
Sorry, what was your third one, AsteroidMech?
Oh, those were the two that stood out to me the most from memory.
That's what you got for
I know
me
there's
too,
more.
Gerbil. Go for it.
All right. How about max attempts for the crate run? I mean, that's not a bad thing, but the raid was bugged. Error code 3. Did that one hit you guys?
I didn't get that one, but I remember that. I don't remember exactly. Didn't it just shut the game down, or you couldn't open the game for a couple days?
Yeah. I was blocked out for 3 days.
Oh wow!
And it was if memory serves, it was during one of their double drop events, which, you know,
Yes.
yes, it was prior to, you know, in recent times, like for those of you who just started this game in the last 3 months, you're probably unaware, double drops used to be a hugely important event. Like when we knew it was coming, we're like, oh my god, everyone, hoard now, double drop. And lately it's kind of like, hey, we get another week of double drops. So I mean, I'm not complaining about it, but
So
yeah, error 3.
before you, what you just said is because I've been noticing that lately. I'm like, man, what if we're just gonna have double drops every other month? Then this isn't even really. There's nothing special about it. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's just here at the end of the year they've done it. And the one right now isn't exactly a double drop as much as it is a Jedi Knight Cal Kestis farming drop. But it does seem like they're going to have a lot of those cadences in the future for these journeys. That when they release the teams, they put out these teams in a farmable way sometime down the road for everybody to farm, but more easily to get. Because like Captain Rex, you know, came out and then 3 months later, whatever, he was in nodes, and so people were getting into 5 stars without ever paying a dime, which has not been historically normal. So it does feel like they're kind of opening up these marquee farms to the community a little bit more.
I'm pretty sure it's probably because they said that they want people to start engaging more and more with the newer stuff, right? So that's why they have Lightspeed Bundles and whatever. So I'm sure that's probably why, is that they're putting it out easier for more people to get so that they start engaging with the new content, probably.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. But at the same time, I really keep crossing my fingers and hoping for more original generation Omicrons. I know, like, Omicrons are still hard to come by for most people, but Omicrons have a great way of revitalizing an older character. I mean, the focus has been on one new lifting unit. Again, Marin, Nisa, Drogon, well, not Drogon, Rex. But, you know, one Omicron can make a big difference. And like, I just keep waiting. Are we ever going to get like a Rex Omicron? Not a Rex, Wedge Omicron, or original Lando, you know, original TIE Fighter pilot. Because they're fun characters. And like you mentioned, AsteroidMech, you mentioned Bane. And I tease. I understand the significance of Bane. I mean, he was the guy that started the rule of 3, right?
2. Close.
No, I do that just to get NOOCH's reaction there. He's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But yeah, the rule of 2, right? So he's hugely significant in Star Wars lore. And yet, there are a lot of, probably a majority of Star Wars players who don't have a connection to a lot of the newer characters that they're introducing, be it Cal, Seer, Bane, whatever. But they do have still a lingering passion and love for those original characters. So I keep waiting for more older stuff. But I think it's been a long time since they've released an Omicron, hasn't it, for an older character? Like, I can't think of any recently.
I think you're right about that. Yeah, all the new characters have like 3, 4, 5 Omicrons. I exaggerate, but you know, but I think you're right.
Close
I think
to
they've
right.
Yeah, done that rework for an Omicron for an older character in a while.
Yeah. In fact, I can't even recall the last one we got.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember either.
Yeah, see, when all 3 of us are sitting here going, scratching our head, who was it?
Wampa,
no,
Savage.
you're right.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea.
We're all like, no, that's a dead end.
Yeah.
Nothing happening with that one. Yeah, so then we also had multiple and have even had recent proving ground bugs. TIE Interceptor was, I think, unbeatable for a while. A couple of the Cat one was unbeatable. So both of those had to get fixed. You mentioned Jabba's Journey Guide, Leia's Release Journey Guide.
Oh, the China firewall is kicking in. Yeah, you're a mess.
Uh-oh.
Please stop whatever you're doing right now, because that's not good.
That was not a great frame to pause on.
But yeah,
I hear you fine.
all of that, you know, what was he saying before? Can we hear you, Gerbils? Talk a little bit.
Yeah, I'm here. I hear you guys great.
Okay, we can hear you, and your face is blurry. Is what's going on, but that might be better in general
Okay, that's
for
good.
the viewing audience.
Ouch.
Well, I'll find a way to get him back. It's okay.
So, AsteroidMech,
Okay.
where are you with
Yes.
the? What was your? I know we did the summary for the 3 words. What's your assessment of Lightspeed Bundles? Because I think we got Lightspeed Bundles coming out today, right? It'll probably be an
Yes.
update somewhere around what we'll get the thing 1:15 p.m. Eastern time or Pacific time, blah blah blah. So, what's your take on Asteroid for Lightspeed Bundles and their impact on the game?
So I am a huge fan of them. I think that they do a lot, especially for early game players. I'm one of those players that have benefited a lot from Lightspeed Bundles, especially. I just unlocked Ray 2 days ago, so I've benefited a lot from them. And I think overall, I think they're great. However, I think the issue with them comes when they do it too often, and if they don't. So, okay, I guess if they don't give notice, and what I mean by that is one thing I don't like about what they've done with this one is they've added the BB-8 pack, which is giving you R5, all first order, all bets are off, everyone has it. And so obviously people are using this as an opportunity to farm SLKR, and there's no way CG didn't know that. And so now a lot of people I've seen in my comments have been farming Finalizer for the last 2 months or so, and now you can just buy Finalizer. Like, I feel like they should have released it together. And not only that, I think that if they overdo it like they did with the Wave 1 stuff, they're going to run out of stuff to sell fast. And they're going to have to repeat old Lightspeed Bundles, and then Lightspeed Bundles are going to get stale, and then nobody's going to care anymore. Kind of like what they're doing with double drops. They're doing a lot of double drops, but starting not to feel special anymore. So I think if they dropped one Lightspeed Bundle every 2 or 3 months, give some people time, hey, we're going to develop this team, and then 2 months down the road, you get back to where you're farming. Oh, here's another Lightspeed Bundle to help you out if you're farming this thing, or whatever they decide to do with their Lightspeed Bundles. I think if they do 1 or 2 at a time with a good distance in between each other, and they drop everything for a farm at the same time, I think that would be pretty beneficial. That's kind of my take.
So I have one comment for that, and I agree with that. You know, we thought they were going to do one in November, but they spread it out. You know, it was 2 months apart, and that's smarter. And I don't think you should do new Galactic Legends every 2 months. That'd be a huge mess. And the only Galactic Legend I see them doing in the future would be Sith Eternal. I don't see the other ones coming into Lightspeed Bundles anytime soon. But I guarantee you, you know, Capital Games, they'll let their testing fall off a little bit, and they'll let their known issues fall off a little bit, and they'll fix those. But the one thing they are not going to let fall off, they're not going to plan out and game out for like years in the future, is something that makes them money. And you know, the game went in October when Lightspeed Bundles came out. The game had been making $6 or $7 million a month for a long time, like a long time. And you're talking about a game that earned $1 billion, I think, in the first 4 years it was out. So it was a little bit below what they've been expecting normally. When these came out, the game earned $11 million in October. So it went up about 60%, 50 to 60% in income. So I guarantee they've gamed out these Lightspeed Bundles for probably at least 2 years and said, here's what we're going to release. Here's where we think it ties in. Here's how much money we think we're going to make. And so I think there's enough room in the game to release 4, 5, whatever Lightspeed Bundles on a bi-monthly basis. I mean, it's only 6 times next year, so you're talking 30 bundles, and they'll probably re-release some at some point. You know, the Ray one will be back out at some point, and I don't think they'll ever call it the BB-8 pack again. I think what we'll see today is that there'll be an SLKR pack, and we're not going to call it the BB-8 pack anymore. But I do agree with you on the Finalizer, but I was saying from the moment these came out last month that they're probably the next round will be a Finalizer pack. You know, they don't give you these Kylo requirements and then not release that pack later on. So I'm not really surprised by that. But yeah, if you wanna build goodwill, it's probably a good idea to release those together the way they did with Ray, as opposed to get the Kylo stuff out there. People spend 2 months farming it, and boom, hey, guess what? Here you can buy it for $10, $20 or whatever. So I do agree with that part of it.
Yeah, I think the one comment I have is that I think that they put too many characters in for the price point. And I know that's going to have a lot of people going, shut up, right? But, you know, like you said, they gave us the entire First Order faction for, what was it, $10? Like, honestly, I don't know how many of the $10 packs I've bought that have relic slicing materials, like 200 Cantina Energy, 200 whatever, right? It's like $10 comes out every week, I think on a Tuesday or something for me. And I have probably bought that 20 times over my career in this game. And I think to myself, like, the relative value of those are so disproportionate. It's just mind-boggling. So had they said, here's our Lightspeed bundle, get Kylo Ren unmasked for $10 at Relic 5, I think they probably would have had just as many people smash that button actually and buy it instead of the whole faction. And that actually allows them to, you know, as NOOCH saying, game this out a lot longer. So I have a concern about the quantity with which they did in that first batch, but we've already seen that they're starting to scale it back a little bit. And I haven't seen the data mines for what's coming. So I wouldn't be too surprised to start seeing $10 single character packs coming very soon and being kind of standardized. I maybe a squad of 3 or 5, but I don't think we're going to get another pack that has 10 characters for $10 at Relic 5. I think that's over. I'd be really shocked to see that again.
Yeah, if they do that again, it's not gonna be for $10 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It was really surprising to me that they scaled it so big so immediately, right? Like, and I realized it made an impact on the game, but I agree with you 100%. If they'd put out a $10 pack for KRU and a $10 rest of the first, or $10 another third of the first order, and $10 another third of the first order, I think they would have got just as many purchases, and then they would still would have had room to grow it too, right? And honestly, and I've said this from the beginning of release, I think if they'd have released a $10 Geo pack to get all the Geos at Relic 5, everybody would have bought that. Like, everybody, you know, people poop on them because they're end game, but you know, the Geos all the way through mid and even late game are a great team to have. And not to mention that if you want to punch up and get into a better guild and start doing, you know, getting those watch shards, you got to have those Geos and the ships they impact and everything else. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for that kind of stuff along the way. And it looks like, you know, we're going to see the Beskar Mando pack this time. And it's definitely a step down. Last time it was Rey, Kylo, Starkiller, right? Those are the packs. Mm-hmm. This time it looks like Beskar Mando, Palpatine and Thrawn, Kylo, and then Finalizer. So we've only really got 2 that were tied to one galactic, and the other 3 are characters a lot of people have, but maybe really tailored toward those newer players that haven't farmed those teams, or players like me. I've got it up on I had it up on my screen a minute ago. I'm on my NOOCH 2 Hyper account where I spend $100 a week now. My scoundrels, my Mandalorian scoundrels, they're all at gear 11, gear 10, gear 9, just enough to unlock BAM. So I'm going to buy that pack, because assuming it takes me to Relic 5. If it doesn't, then I'm out. But if it takes me to Relic 5 with those 5 characters, they've all got a lot of uses, and Mando and Greef have immediate use, and Queel and IG-11 will have use for me. Well, actually, I've got Dash Rendar from the packs last month, so they'll go with that team, and I got a lot of places to stick those characters.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Greef, I think, makes that pack by itself even. Like, there's just so much application for him. I mean, that is one of the most consistent questions I get from my audience is, what's the optimal bounty hunter squad? And I'm like, well, that's a really fun question, because you can go any way you want, but Greef's going to be there almost always, it seems.
That's a situational question.
Yeah. That depends. Are you trying to do Lord Vader or get through the Chewbacca event, right?
Chewbacca.
Lord Vader, yeah.
So what else we got for the year in review topics there, Gerbil? Anything else?
Well, so we got all the known issues, which a lot of those have not been solved, and I wonder if many of them will be. Somebody posted, I think it was on Reddit, and I really wish I had saved it. I didn't save it, but somebody posted a bit of an analysis about how many known issue posts have been made versus how many stated fixes were made. Now, there is one known issue that I actually want to call out and say that I hope that this is the beginning of a positive trend, is that they fixed the NISA Datacron. So when Datacrons came out, people asked, what are you going to do if there's a bug in a Datacron? And they actually kind of said, well, the good thing is they expire in 3 months. right? They said we're just not going to fix it, and they hadn't yet. But the NISA Datacron, for those of you who don't know, the NISA Datacron says that whenever an Ewok ally is defeated, they revive at 100% health, and I think protection too. Turned out though, it was working with any ally. So people were putting her with Rey and Sorty and Ben and L3, and they just didn't die, right? Imagine all those extra sudden whirlwinds that she's getting off of all the revives. And it's just pretty nasty, but they patched that. They patched it, I think, last week. So that's a good thing. And I hope that means that they're reassessing the impact of Datacrons. Which, Datacrons, when did those come to the game?
That wasn't this year, was it?
No, it was not this year.
No. Had to be last year.
Yeah.
It was.
So we've had them for... We've had them for 2 years, and I think this year Datacrons have been incredibly impactful in the game, with the Drogon Datacron causing everybody, to coin the team Toxic Leia. But I actually think that that Datacron is going to be overlooked real soon by the new SWGOH Leia Datacron. Have you guys experienced it?
Nope, and I don't want to.
NOOCH, have you not run into
I
this
have
one
not.
yet?
I have not run into it.
Okay, so I've got it. I can go into my arena. I wish I could share my screen, but I can take my Jabba squad with the SWGOH Leia Datacron and just hit full auto and set back, and it walks through the Toxic Leia, Han Solo, Chewie with the Drogon Datacron. It just walks over it. It's like it's not even a contest. That you end up into a turn meter loop, and the other team will not get a turn. Because every time a Datacron explodes, the bounty hunters all gain 5% turn meter. And every time one of them explodes, there's a 50% chance to reapply one. And SWGOH's AoE Datacron cooldown is reduced by 1. So she's applying more, exploding more, and with all of her assists, you just stack them all up, and then you loop. And I discovered this in GAC. I went in against, it was in Territory Wars. I went up against a SWGOH Leia Jabba team with Rey, and I don't really know how to use my Rey team really well. It's my latest GL. And before I knew it, Jabba had ultimated 5 times, and I hadn't taken a turn. And it was just like, what is going on? Like, she was in damage immunity, Ben was in damage immunity, and it just timed out. So don't do that, folks. So then I tried Slicker, and that failed. And I tried Kenobi, and that failed. So this is, I think, the new toxic SWGOH Leia.
Now that's interesting that they're really this Datacron set really emphasizes the characters and the faction, rather because the abilities are just god awful. There's armor penetration, and then there's nothing else. It's all special physical special critical. Like, who cares? Just stop critical chance. But when you put there are 3 or 4 of those for SWGOH Leia, or there's another one, I can't remember which one it is, but yeah, I'm curious to see what the next Datacron set is, because I've inherited my old account again, and it's lacking in Datacrons, and so I'm out there fighting people with these new ones, and it's just like fly swatter against a tank almost in some cases. So,
AsteroidMech, what do you think about Datacrons? I mean, it may be a 2022 issue, but it's still there.
So, I see why they did it. It's definitely. I think it's been in the game long enough where people have gotten used to it, and that it can be beneficial. I don't like going up against it, and I don't really like having to farm and gear all that stuff up. But I think at this point, I think people have gotten used to it. I think it has its place. It's not my favorite thing in the game, but it doesn't ruin my day either, because I mean, I'm able to farm them as well. It's not like it's the most gated thing in the game. You can get it through conquest. So if it was more gated, I think I'd have a bigger problem with it. But I don't know. It's kind of something it doesn't bother me, but I don't like it either, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I feel the same way. It doesn't, but honestly, it doesn't bother me at all. Going up against somebody with more Datacrons, fine, I get it. but you know what? It's part of the game, and I can worry about it all day and complain about it all day, but it's not going to change a thing, and it's not going. They're not doing anything with it. These are staying in the
Nope.
game. So for me, it's just like when I get in a situation like that, I'm better off figuring out what I can do about it and how I can adjust to it. I do a lot of, and I'm rolling Datacrons right now while we're speaking. I do a lot of Datacron farming in my Conquest, and actually for my accounts, I view Conquest as more of a place to farm Datacrons than the new character because I'm not getting those red crates. You know, on my free to play account where I'll be 3 years free to play in 8 days. I'll be my 3-year anniversary free to play. I farm Datacrons like crazy on that account in Conquest because I'm never going to get a red crate. I don't have all the new characters that you need to unlock all the different. I mean, I guess if I really work my brains out, maybe I'd find a way around to it. Golly, I don't have time for that. I'm managing multiple accounts. I'm trying to play a game, trying to make content for everybody. I don't have time to game and figure that out. So I do farm a lot of Datacrons, and those Datacrons really, honestly, carried me to Kyber 3. I'm in Kyber 3 with that account, and I've got 3 Galactic Legends and Executor, and that's what I've got. I don't have Starkiller. I don't have Inquisitors. And those Datacrons are making and my mods, honestly, we all know that mods matter, and I still run to people, even in Kyber 3, that just don't have very good mods. It's really amazing, but they might have 6 or 7 Galactic Legends and Starkiller and everything else, but their mods are so horrible that I can beat them with off-meta teams, and I'm in good shape. So, it just, to me, is another part of the game I got to deal with, and I got to find a way to game it and work through it. And I don't get any views when I make Datacron content, so I don't really make much content for it anymore, and I think that's because it is really geared toward the higher end of the game, and my audience is more mid-game and new game and early game. Which I think will change. We'll be changing that in 2024. We'll be not changing it. We'll be evolving to include more folks in 2024 on the channel. But yeah, whenever I got something in front of me, I might complain at first, and then you just got to sit down and say, it's here. I got to deal with it. I can either choose not to do it or do it, but I get to make my own choices about Datacrons. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to move forward. So, yeah.
Fair. Yeah, I totally think you're right. For those of you that do have the Jawas faction, though, based on the crate raid, maybe you geared them up or whatever, I will say that the scavenger Datacron in the current set is insanely good, and it is actually my counter to that to Jabba the Hutt, and I am not joking about that. So that Jabba team I mentioned with the SWGOH Datacron, as I said, it beat my Rey, Slicker, and Kenobi hands down. And out of desperation, I was like, okay, what are my Relic 5 Jawas going to do? So I went in there, and I'm trying to look for that Datacron right now. And basically, it turns the Jawas almost into a mirror match. They have the same effect that whenever a thermal detonator explodes, they recover health and protection and gain 5% turn meter. But whereas Jabba's faction has a 50% chance to reset the detonator, the Jawas have an 80% chance. And then they start with 100% bonus health or something, and then Scavenger revives and goes into protection. So the match starts, and you don't take a turn for 40, 50 seconds at least. And in that time period, Leia usually explodes once, taking her down to trigger the damage immunity. She takes another turn, and then when you get your Scavenger turn, you blow up their Imbo or Boba plus Leia plus Skiff Guard, and then you die, and then you go in and two-shot them. So just tip for the day, folks. If you got Jawas, you can beat Jabba.
Good stuff.
In a two-shot.
Is it time for us to
So let's move on, shall we?
To AsteroidMech ranking the movies, or do we got more to talk about?
Oh man, there's so much we could talk about, but I want to hear his takes.
This is my favorite part because we bring folks on, and we did it all together with Celiac Sarah, but this generates a lot of conversations. So let's hear it, buddy. What's your number 11 movie?
I'm ready for the judgment on this one. So I should say I actually made 2 lists. I made a list based on my favorite Star Wars movies in order, best to worst, and then I made a list based off of, I think, the objective quality of the film, which I'll do my favorite ones because I think that's more interesting, and I'll just run through the quality ones at the end. But I promise that my favorite list isn't necessarily the best, but it's my favorite. But my number 11 is The Last Jedi. I think it has its pros. I think it has its cons, a lot of them. I think if it wasn't a Star Wars movie, it would be really good. But I think when you take the context of Luke Skywalker, all that stuff, I'm not personally the hugest fan of what they did with the story. And I know Rian Johnson was kind of set up for that too. Like, I mean, J.J. Abrams had Luke Skywalker sitting on an island not wanting to be found for 20, 30 years. So like, what are you going to do with that? So I understand that. But I mean, overall, I think there's a lot of flaws, especially with the sequel trilogy in general. And this just falls at the bottom of the list. The choreography is not very interesting, in my opinion. They have to digitally remove weapons from the Praetorian guards because they realize the choreography looks stupid in post. They have to, what was I just gonna say? I don't know. I don't know. I just lost what I was gonna say, but the choreography is not super interesting. Oh, they went with a super cliche ending. I think what the cooler ending of The Last Jedi would have been is if Rey took Ben's hand and then turned to the dark side, and then in Episode 9, Kylo Ren went to the light side, and then Rey was helping the Emperor, and then Ben was with Leia. I think that would have been a way more interesting ending, and it's not cliche at all. So I think they had opportunity here. They set it up, and I don't think they capitalized on it.
Now, I want to address one thing. You said this would be a really good movie if it wasn't Star Wars. That ignores the Canto Bight garbage altogether. I don't think that stands up in any mood. Like, well, the whole side trip to Canto Bight, Poe, Finn, Finn and Rose, their entire storyline, I think is just complete garbage in any setting. But yeah, I tend to agree with a lot. I like your idea of Rey and Kylo switching places.
I think that would be really cool. And with the Canto Bight thing, I don't know how you'd save that, but I think the rest of the movie around that would have been better if it wasn't Star Wars. But I can't really defend the Canto Bight stuff.
All right, well, what's next? What's number 10?
Number 10 is The Rise of Skywalker. So I think The Rise of Skywalker is a fun, turn your brain off movie. But then when you actually sit down and think about the consequences and the trilogy and what actually happens and is said in the movie, it's kind of sad, to be honest. Somehow Palpatine returned. Why wasn't Palpatine returning in Episode 7? Why did I not know that 2 movies ago? Why is all of the the final order fleets parked next to each other in a row and they can only leave when the one tower says they can leave? What do you mean? Yep. You can't just fly up? What? So
I think I said that.
You have said that. And oh, hey guys, did you know that Finn has something to tell Rey?
He has to say Rey over and over again. Yeah. I mean, where would a sequel trilogy movie be without Finn saying Rey 10 times in a row? I don't know. I think as just like a generic Star Wars blockbuster, if you know nothing about the lore, you can go in and enjoy it as a film, but there are so many faults here. So I don't know. I can enjoy it. I think the fight scenes are a lot more interesting in this film than they were in the previous 2 sequel trilogy films. I just think they got super lazy with it. They just gave up. That's really what happened, I guess. I don't know.
I think they maybe tried too hard. And by the way, you were worried about your choices. So far, your choices are highly not controversial. So
no, this part's not. Okay. This part's not. We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right, number 9.
Number 9, you guessed it, The Force Awakens. It is the most generic blockbuster rehash you could possibly think of. If I said that there was a new Star Wars movie coming out and you probably already know the plot, it's this movie. Like if you already know the plot, there's a Death Star, there's a scavenger orphan on the desert that needs to get the droid to the good guys so that they can stop the base from blowing up, or stop their base from blowing up from a Death Star. It's the most generic possible Star Wars script that you could come up with. I think this is a good movie up until they introduce Starkiller Base. All the stuff they do before that with Rey on the desert, sure, that plays into nostalgia a little bit. It's fun, it works. Then they go on this new kind of mission where they go to a cantina, but it's green this time instead of being sandy. So up until Starkiller Base is introduced, I think it works. I really like Han Solo in this movie. I think killing him off honestly was I honestly liked that scene. That was probably one of my favorite scenes from the entire sequel trilogy. All the Han Solo scenes in the sequel trilogy stole the show for me. But there's nothing inherently wrong with it like there are the other sequel trilogy films, in my opinion, besides it just being not creative and generic. It doesn't feel special. It doesn't feel like it feels like they wanted to maximize ticket sales with minimal risk. And I just think that's boring. I just think it's boring.
I am right there with you on this one. I remember vividly sitting in the theater just telling myself, okay, I know what's going to happen next already. And we're only like 30 minutes into this movie. And just every time there was another, direct plot line, I don't necessarily want to say copy, but it basically was a copy. That I just felt resentment at it, and I felt disappointment that both I was paying for it, and that all of my anticipation had turned into watching A New Hope over again, just with modern CG and new faces. I really, really did appreciate Rey, the character in that movie, as the lead. I grew up largely without a father, so I grew up with a single mom, 2 kids. And I discovered very quickly that there was a power difference in a lot of places between genders. And so a lot of my adult life as an educator, as a teacher, I've done what I can to try to lift my female students up. And so when Rey was introduced, I was like, this is great, because I wanted to see more female empowerment for the younger generation and for like the girls I teach. But then they took her and just said, hey, by the way, you're actually Luke Skywalker in disguise. And I just kind of felt let down.
Yeah, they didn't add a lot to the lore with this one, I feel like.
All right, well,
Or
what's
the
number
scenario.
8? What's number 8?
Probably the last movie before we get a little controversial, Attack of the Clones. The script is god awful. I think the acting ability of the actors in this film is there. It's the direction of the acting and the takes they chose to use was not it. George Lucas cannot write love scenes to save his life, and I don't think he should ever be trying to write a love scene ever again. I think the stuff with Obi-Wan is great, honestly. If they just made the entire movie about Obi-Wan and Jango doing their thing, I think that would be way more interesting. The Geonosian Arena, I love the ending of the movie as well. The mystery on Kamino, I should say I got into Star Wars because of the Clone Wars. I was like 7 years old when that Clone Wars movie came out, the animated one. And sure, looking back on it, it wasn't great, but the Clone Wars series is why I got into Star Wars in the first place. Or not the series, sorry, the movie. I don't know. The movie for Clone Wars wasn't great. The series is my favorite piece of media. The movie was not great.
Good clarification there.
Yeah, heavy clarification. I love the series.
We got it.
Yeah, the movie, having this movie so heavily tie into the beginning of the Clone Wars for me, that stuff is a huge benefit. But I think on an objective basis, having half of your movie be pretty good and the other half being unwatchable makes it a iffy film for me.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
have no arguments. What's number 7?
Yeah, let's get controversial here.
A New Hope.
Dear God. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Oh, no.
Where's the hang up button right now? I'm looking for it. There's the red button. Hang on.
Yeah, so I promise I
You
have
okay?
a reason.
Well, it was nice knowing
just
you,
talk.
AsteroidMech.
Yeah. I had a good run.
All right. I'll hear you out. I'm a teacher. Justify. Explain Justify.
Yes. So, A New Hope is objectively a great film. On my other ranking, it is very high up. It is one of the better films when it comes to quality of cinema, and it did a lot for the franchise. Obviously, it did a lot for cinema.
Just tell us why you hate it.
Yes.
Just tell us why you hate it. Let's go.
So I hate it because no, I think it's very cut and dry. It's very bare bones. When it comes to the rest of the Star Wars universe as a lore, nothing, it's not developed, nothing really, how do I say this? It feels like the most cookie cutter Star Wars movie because it was the first Star Wars movie. It makes sense. And I don't blame it for that. But what happens in the movie is you have the Luke Skywalker stuff, and then his parents die, but he doesn't really care. And then they go to Alderaan, but it's not there. And then they save Leia, and then they blow up the Death Star. So you just, they leave the planet and they blow up the Death Star. Like, it feels a little bare bones to me at times. I think I love, obviously, the Darth Vader stuff. I think Grand Moff Tarkin is an underrated character in Star Wars.
Yes.
I think the original one can be a little cheesy at times, but it works to its benefit. But I just like the other stuff more. I don't think this is bad by any means. I just think I like the other stuff more.
So what he literally just said was that the movie that was originally just called Star Wars, called Star Wars, which is what we're doing, was too cookie cutter of a Star Wars movie. Let me tell you, it is the cookie cutter Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it is. For sure. No, you are absolutely right. I secede on that point for sure. Right. This list is my list of the favorite movies, not the quality of the cinema. So the quality of the cinema is very different from
I have to what number are we on? I don't even know what number we're on. I have to wake my son up here.
That was 7.
That was 7 or that or we're on 7?
That was 7.
Okay, what I don't know, what's 6?
So this is actually
Empire Strikes Back.
No. This is tied. Is Phantom Menace. I think Phantom Menace has its very, very high highs and its very, very low lows. I don't mind Jar Jar Binks that much, but he goes a little too far in some places. I really like the fight scene at the end, obviously. I really like the pod racing scene. This movie changed cinema forever. There is no Avengers Endgame without the Phantom Menace. There is no modern blockbuster with the amount of technology. And maybe there would be, but George Lucas developed that technology.
Wait a minute. Wait, you can't use that as a qualifier anymore. You killed that with the last ranking.
What are we talking about?
You can't say you like a movie because it changed cinema forever if you rank Star Wars. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
No,
now I know how my son felt when Celiac Sarah was talking. But go ahead. We're good.
That is completely fair take, and I enjoy it watching it. If I'm gonna sit down and watch it, my enjoyment level is probably on par with A New Hope for very different reasons. I really like all of the characters in this movie. Liam Neeson, Natalie Portman, Ewan McGregor, Jake Lloyd even. I really like the casting for this film. I think, I don't know, I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. There's a lot of interesting, cool action set pieces, especially, again, the fight scene at the end, the pod race, the space battle at the end. It's just a very entertaining, fun sit down and watch movie. Again, sure, the script can be weak at times. I don't mind the politics stuff. I like watching shows. I'm not into politics as an actual thing, but watching lawyer shows and stuff. I think that's interesting. So seeing the government side of the fall of the Republic, I thought was interesting. Sure, it was a little clunky, but I think it was interesting. So it has its faults for sure, but enjoyment level, it's about on par with A New Hope.
I give you that it's a whole lot shinier and faster, but it had some things in it there I thought were unforgiving, like when Qui-Gon got, when they got trapped by the droidicas and they're like, it's a stalemate, force speed, and then suddenly they're both Flash Gordon running off the side.
I forgot about that.
What the heck did I just see? I mean, there was so much in that movie that I think, I was in the theaters watching this one and I was like, is this Star Wars? I was like that Naboo starfighter. That's just a Blackbird, an SR-71 Blackbird that's painted with chrome. Like it wasn't even the form factor wasn't changed at all. They just smoothed it out. Anyway,
I'm completely
ahead.
fair.
Cool, dude.
I am in the minority that I think doesn't absolutely hate this movie.
I don't think that's
Ewok
true
lover
anymore.
here.
No, I think Phantom Menace over time, and we hated, my generation hated that movie,
Yeah.
and we hated Jar Jar, but I think over time, everybody's come to appreciate it, and especially with the sequels. I remember when I got done watching Rise of Skywalker, I went home and watched the first 3 minutes of Phantom Menace, and I'm like, oh look, there was a story, and this story played out through the whole sequel, as opposed to the sequel trilogy where there's random stories thrown in anyway. So, yeah, I think it's gained a lot of traction over the years.
They have aged very well. And one of the sequels will age better as people become less attached to the original trilogies. But I don't know. We'll see.
All right, what's number 5?
Number 5 is Solo. I think
like
Solo is a fun blockbuster Star Wars heist movie. Is it the best film ever put to screens? No, there's faults. I think the setup for it, especially with Han, like the stuff they do with Han Solo. Oh, you're alone, so your name is Han Solo. Oh, here's the gun that you used from the original movie. You remember this gun? Yeah, that kind of stuff was just a bit extra, not needed, really cheesy. I really like Woody Harrelson. I think the action sequences in this film, I know we were just talking about this, but I think in Solo they also look really, really good. I love the Corellia, not Corellia. Well, Corellia, yes, but the run, the
train,
The
12 parsecs.
train.
The 12
the
parsecs.
Castle Run.
Castle Run.
Okay.
Yes. Also the train. Yes. That's another one. I think again, super interesting set pieces and scenarios for them to have played out. I think I really, really liked the ending with especially with Darth Maul. Again, huge Clone Wars kid. Darth Maul, Kira. I really want to see what happens with Kira. And I know they started expanding upon that in the comic books. But my problem with this film is the setup for it is really cheesy, and it at times doesn't feel like Han Solo, which I don't mean that in the sense of the acting, because I think Alden Ehrenreich did a great job. I think that the decisions that Han Solo makes throughout the movie doesn't feel like an early Han Solo. It feels like hey, you remember Han Solo? This is a movie about that guy you like. This is the nice guy Han Solo at times. Where, oh, he's gonna go help Enfys Nest, give them the coaxium just because he wants to, and oh, we're gonna go save all of the prisoners and Chewbacca, and we're gonna leave all the stuff just because he doesn't really care about the money and he wants everyone to be friends. Later Han Solo, it feels like that, but as introduced in A New Hope, I don't know if that's 100% congruent with the character. But overall, again, super fun heist movie. Has its flaws, but I really like it.
I like Solo a lot. I'm with you. I don't know if I ranked it that high, but for me, like I compare it to the first 15 minutes of Last Crusade, where where River Phoenix runs around as young Indiana Jones, and we find out everything that happened with Indiana Jones happened in a span of 10 minutes. On a train with snakes and a hat and a whip and a scar. It's all right there. So I kind of compare it to that. It's like, let's put all this stuff together into one thing, but it was the full movie that it didn't bother me. I had a lot of fun with Solo too.
Yeah, I think it's super fun.
I will rewatch it this winter because I don't rank it anywhere near there. But everyone in this channel has ranked it much higher, so I'll give it a rewatch.
I think it's definitely worth it. Number 4 is Return of the Jedi. I think Return of the Jedi is a beautiful ending to the trilogy. I honestly like it. I think a lot more than a lot of people do. It's got to fall somewhere. I really like a lot of the Star Wars stuff, so it falls at number 4, but I rank it really, really high. I love the throne room scene. I was introduced to Star Wars through my dad and my grandpa, so having all that father-son dynamic, whatever, really hits home for me. And I remember watching it with them. So that part of it really I really enjoy that part. You're Gerbil, you're gonna love this. I think the Ewoks are an excellent addition to this film. It goes back to the core of what I think A New Hope was it was the underdogs taking down the big bad guys. The Ewoks are the underdogs of the underdogs in this trilogy. They're the native species of this random planet that the Empire is exploiting, and they come together and they are able to defeat tyranny and have a great, ending and whatever. I will say that one thing I really do like about this movie is that this is actually not the end of the Empire. This is just basically we're back to square one with the Death Star, where the Empire is now shattered. They don't have their super weapon, or they don't have their Emperor or their mass murderer anymore. So they're shattered, and they have to rely on the Imperial command, basically. And I see, NOOCH, you have the book behind you, but the Aftermath trilogy continues the story of the fall of the Empire. Life Debt, right? Yeah.
Yes, you just turned like, I have books.
Books? What books is?
Yeah, I read the entire Aftermath trilogy. Absolutely loved it. That really explains the fall of the Empire. They have Thrawn's contingency plans with the Empire. They have Cobb Vanth was introduced in that trilogy. So they have a whole bunch of stuff happen in that trilogy, and I think that helps me with this ranking of this movie, because I think this is a cheesy ending for. If this was the end of the era of the Empire, this would be a little cheesy. But the fact that it's not really helps me. It's a feel-good movie that ends the story of our characters. So I appreciate it for that. I think the Jabba the Hutt sequence at the beginning is really interesting. It's a little long, but I don't mind it. I think it's super interesting. Again, I don't have many bad things to say about it.
All right, what are we on? Number 5? Number 3. Number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah.
So my top 3 can honestly be put in any order, but I'm going to put it in this order because it's more interesting, but you could put it in a different order. My number 3 is Empire Strikes Back. And I love this film. I think, I'll run through my quality film list in a minute. But in terms of favorites, I think everything in here is amazing except one huge flaw. And that is the time. How long does this movie take place? Is this 6 months? Is this a weekend? What is happening? It doesn't make any sense. Because if you have it take place over the weekend, you're telling me that Luke Skywalker, even with minimal training, was able to go toe-to-toe with Darth Vader, even toying with him? He didn't do great in that film, or in that fight, but even if you wouldn't be able to go toe-to-toe with Darth Vader with minimal training. Now, if you're saying that it was 6 months and he was training on Dagobah for that long, you're telling me that the Empire chased the Millennium Falcon for 6 months and they never refueled, they were constantly on the run, they didn't eat anything that besides it was on the ship, so that doesn't make any sense either.
Fuel wasn't invented yet.
It takes a long time to go to
sequels.
Yeah, it takes a long time to go to Bespin when you're not in hyperspace.
Yeah, but it took 6 months. Yeah, but I don't know. Everything else about this movie is a 10 out of 10. That thing just really confuses me, and I think they should have made it a little more obvious. And obviously, I think it's one of those things that's up to your interpretation, which I do actually think it's a benefit, is that whatever you want the timeline to be, it can work for you, but I wish they was a little more clear about it. I don't know, but everything else about this movie is a 10 out of 10. Again, I could put this number 1 and I'd be totally happy with it.
Yeah, I think most people put it at number 1 these days. And it's actually really interesting because, we talk about how movies were received at the point of launch and then over time how they've aged. Empire Strikes Back, was, when that premiered, that left a lot of people confused, shocked, disappointed. I mean, I don't remember where I just saw it recently. Somebody was showing a fan newsletter that they used to, and they quit publishing out of protest. They were like, "This is the worst movie we've ever seen." Blah 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 blah, and it's because it broke a lot of the stereotypical norms that the good guys always win, right? I mean, all through that movie, they're just getting their butts handed to them over and over again.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's one thing I really appreciate about that. And you'll see with my other two, I completely agree. I think that's a great quality in film.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's
Number two.
Rogue One. I think Rogue One is a super fun, dark, gritty Star Wars story about the things that are not really explored in the main movies. The darkness of the rebellion, what it takes to get these missions done that we see Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and all the friends go on in the films. The things behind it that really make the machines move, how dark and serious it can be. Darth Vader steals every scene he's in. The action in the CGI and the sound design punches every single time. It hits hard in this film. I've watched this movie probably like 40 or 50 times, so I love these characters. But I think the biggest flaw is that a lot of people just don't care about the characters. Most people don't know their names, and that's completely fair. They don't repeat it a lot. They're overly complicated. There's a lot of characters, and you just kill them off eventually. So I completely understand that. I think the weakest part of this film is making you care about the characters, but everything else, I love. I love it.
Yeah, but how much time did it take? How much was it? A month? Was it 3 months? Was it?
This was about, I think, 4 days. I think.
He's like, yeah.
Check that timeline.
Yeah, that's completely fair. No, it's around 4 days. I think it's around, maybe, I don't know.
You're good,
I don't know.
dude. You're good.
It is a beautiful movie, though.
I love Rogue One.
Cinematography-wise. Oh, it's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
I also think that this is the best space battle in Star Wars, at least in live action. Above the Scarif shield gate, it looks so good.
Like when the Y-wings are running down, doing their bombing runs, and then when the rebels are trying to escape, and they're literally crashing into Vader's ship as it appears.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. That was amazing.
I mean, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Then you get the cherry on the top with the hallway scene at the end, and that's when you just sit there and fanboy for about 5 minutes in the theater, like you're just giggling uncontrollably. That's what I was doing anyway.
Yeah. When I saw
too.
that, I immediately knew I was going to come back and see it again.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm going to go watch this movie again just for that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we have YouTube now.
For sure. I think this is one of the best Star Wars movies to see on a theater, like in a theater. I mean, all of them are amazing, but like this is one of my favorites to have seen in a theater.
So this would be my top recommendation if you were to see one and only one in the theaters. All right.
Yeah.
So this leaves us at number one. I mean, for those of us keeping track, we should know. But you're gonna have to say it anyway.
Revenge of the Sith. Yeah.
Huh.
Now, this is a lot lower on the list when it comes to quality of cinema, when it comes to the script and the directing of the acting. Objectively, it's not there. Hayden Christensen is a great actor. All of the people in this film are great actors. It's the direction and the takes that they chose to use of the acting that they asked the actors to do that's not on par with the rest of the quality of the film. But the story, the action, the emotion, where it leaves us off, how it sets up the rest of the series, I gotta love it. This is the culmination of all of the Clone Wars stuff, because again, love the series. It's like my favorite thing. So this is the definitive end of all that. So I just gotta love it. Every time I watch it, I love it the exact same as much as I've loved it the last 100 times I've seen it.
Cool, dude. I mean, you know what? I gave you a hard time on A New Hope, and I get it. But that's awesome. This is why we do this, because this is fun. It's fun to hear what other people think and put together. So here's where I am, guys. I gotta go get the boy ready for school. So I want to hear your quality ranking. But can you run through it real fast? Is that
Yes.
fair for you guys?
For sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Last is Rise of Skywalker, and then The Last Jedi, Attack of the Clones, The Force Awakens, The Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith, Solo, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Rogue One, and then Empire Strikes Back.
All right, cool. Those
Yeah,
are similar.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think quality-wise, that's probably where I'd put it at. Yeah.
It's December, but you didn't even have the Star Wars Christmas movie on there. So
I promise you that is at the very end of the
It's just a
list.
cookie
That's-
cutter Christmas movie, Gerbil.
yeah, just a cookie. It's a Hallmark film. I've actually
It's
never
not
seen
cookie
it.
cutter. I wish it was cookie cutter. That would make it better.
Have you actually seen it?
Yes.
Oh
Twice
no, I haven't.
actually. Twice.
I've not subjected myself.
I
to
can't
it.
get through it. I watched it. I remember, guys. I watched it when it came out on TV. I don't remember and I don't know if I sat through the whole thing or not. But I remember being a kid, and Chewbacca's got a family, and they're in the treehouse, and I actually remember having that experience. I don't remember anything else about the experience, but I've tried to watch it since, and I can't do it. I just can't do it.
You remember them?
same.
You remember that conversation that they had for 10 minutes straight without any subtitles?
I don't. So, I mean, speaking Wookiee is what you mean?
Yes. They had a Wookiee conversation for like 5 to 10 minutes with 0 subtitles.
It's good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah,
And then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
that
a good thing I speak
awesome.
Wookiee
Anyway,
news.
all right. So, hey, this was fun. I really had a good time. It was good to meet you, AsteroidMech.
Yeah, thank you. I'm super glad I could be on here. I love the show. I've watched all the episodes, so being on here is awesome.
Where can people find you if they want to know more about you or watch your stuff?
I'm on YouTube, the AsteroidMech. I'm on pretty much every social media platform under one name or the other around AsteroidMech, but mainly on YouTube. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Cool. All right.
And I'll put
Go
a link
check him out,
to his channel in the description, so go take a look at that and go check this guy out. He's getting close. Oh, how many subs you got now?
870. I
Yeah,
think.
so let's get him to 1,000. Let's push
Yeah.
AsteroidMech over 1,000, everybody. Let's have some fun and get him up over there. All right. I
Yeah,
guess.
thank you, man.
Yeah, that'll wrap us up. Is anybody got any parting words for us? Any parting words about the movie called Star Wars?
Well, I'll just share real quick, ladies and gentlemen, with the holidays coming up. My guild is voting right now if we want to do another Rise of the Empire, or if we want to kick back, chill, and hit a Hoth and just, deploy and make it easy for everyone. And I would say for your guild, y'all might want to do something similar. Every once in a while, no matter how much we love these things, it's a good time to kick back and take a break and recenter and de-stress and spend time with friends and family and watch our channels.
I think that's
Of
great.
course, of course.
Yeah, so I guess, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. We're all here together in one little ball circling through the galaxy. So, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas. Good to spend some time with you guys today. And, of course, I still have not fixed the screen. I'm going to drop a NOOCH and Gerbil Too Good. It's going to mess up what the screen looks like. I'm going to apologize to everybody, including you guys. But here we go. Always remember, dear God, that's a mess. NOOCH and Gerbil Too Good. And we'll talk to everybody later.
See you guys.